Has the role of the state changed regarding the intelligence service work?
Well, in general, yes, it has. There are a number of issues here, but I think the main one, about which we know most in the United States because it's more open, but it's true of many other countries as well, and that's the increasing role of the private sector in intelligence activities and other security activities. So what we've seen, particularly since the end of the Cold War, was firstly the downsizing of intelligence agencies in the West, and then after 9/11, 12 years ago, there was a big panic. How can we re-establish more intelligence capability for the new counter-terrorism? And their answer to that was to then hire back a lot of the people who've gone into the private sector. So there are a lot of private sector consultants now working with state agencies. Now this is particularly true in the United States, and we saw it clearly in Afghanistan and Iraq. In other countries, the relationship is not quite so clear, but there we know, for example, that in terms of equipment and resources, the state is pretty well dependent on the private IT sector to make the software, to make the hardware that they depend on. And then you've got the exchange of personnel, so that people who are retiring or leaving the public sector where they've been trained will then often find that they can earn much more by moving into the private sector. And so we, the taxpayers, we end up training these people and then they go and make much more money in the private sector. So we lose their skills. And that can be a problem.
Is the Balkans on the road from conflict zone to security community?
Oh yes, I think it is. I mean, several people here have observed that, they were here in this part of the world, 15, 20 years ago. I wasn't here then, and the transformation is clearly enormous. You've stopped killing each other, which is very welcome. And there are residual problems that there are clearly still issues in Bosnia, particularly, the problem of getting, cooperation between the different entities there. And how can I put it? And I think an absence of reconciliation in many areas where the communities, that were previously in conflict, still really don't get on. And so you've got an increasing separation of populations defined in terms of, religion or ethnicity. And that clearly is a problem because if you've got a lot of arms in that country, which you have, handguns and so on, there is always the potential for conflict to start again. I hope it doesn't, but there is that potential. But more broadly than that, then I think that slowly but steadily, the professionals in, say, intelligence and police and border work see the advantages to them of cooperating because all the countries in the region share similar problems. You have similar economic problems and social problems, problems with trafficking, problems with corruption. And so the agencies and the police particularly share an interest in collaboration, and I think that's beginning to happen. It's always slow because, it's hidebound by legal restrictions, and politicians can be very wary of allowing their police to cooperate with somebody else's. But over time, as cooperation bears fruit, it will develop.
And what is your impression on Third Belgrade Security Forum?
Oh, I think this is great. This is the third one. This is the first one that I've been to. Well, I really like the mix of academics such as myself and practitioners and policymakers. I think that's a really good idea, and I think the numbers of people here, the quality of the debate and the discussion and the questions shows it's a really, really excellent forum.
And do you have any suggestions for the next Belgrade Security Forum?
What you mean in terms of substantive issues? No, I don't. Okay, thank you.